Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Ray Tampa Podcast. Today, we're going to talk about the governor suspending the Hillsborough County State Attorney. The Ray Tampa Podcast is something new. It represents something bold, and it represents something different in that truth is our guiding principle. But political correctness is out the door. We will tell it like it is. I have in the studio with me today two very talented, two very intelligent gentlemen by the name of Russell Cato and Jamie Wilson III. As I indicated today or earlier, we're going to talk about DeSantis' suspension of District Attorney Andrew Warren. Here's the headline and eventually the reading of the article that I wrote. Governor DeSantis' ignorance reared its ugly head again. He grossly abused his authority and suspended Hillsborough County District Attorney Andrew Warren. The article. Day after day, we're faced with news of our racist, sexist, bully wannabe, Donald Trump wannabe, authoritarian wannabe governor doing and saying something ridiculous, something outrageous, and something divisive. The latest installment of Governor Gone Bad occurred on Thursday, August 4th, 2022, when Governor DeSantis stood in front of cameras and he was flanked by a group of flunkies and announced his suspension of Hillsborough County District Attorney Warren. Pathetically, it appeared that a staged audience applauded on cue the governor's announcement. DeSantis stated his reasons for the suspension in the following manner. Quote, when you flagrantly violate your oath of office, when you make yourself above the law, you have violated your duty. You have neglected your duty, and you have demonstrated a lack of competence to be able to perform your duties. End of quote. Furthermore, DeSantis said, I don't think the people of Hillsborough County want to have an agenda that is basically woke, where you're deciding that your view of social justice means certain laws should not be enforced. End of quote. I view both statements with bewildered skepticism. I question the flagrant violation of oath statement by asking when, where, and how. Also, I would like to ask DeSantis and his staff of stooges to identify just one time that DA Warren neglected his duties by failing to prosecute a transgender case or an abortion case. I will go even further and ask some of the idiots who happen to speak ill of DA Warren, such as the Hillsborough Sheriff and the former Tampa Police Chief, to identify a transgender or abortion case that was sent to the district attorney and not filed. Truth be told, there are none. The sheriff for Hillsborough and a state legislator cited two cases that caused them concern. But this happens in every district, in every state. Prosecutors have great latitude in deciding which cases to file charges on. This is called prosecutorial discretion. Because a sheriff, a state legislator, or even an ignorant governor gets a hair up his or her ass is no reason to remove a duly elected official from office. DeSantis' assembled group of flunkies seem to have the attitude of piling on. Let's get in on the action by supporting the governor's stupidity. The worst in the group was Sheriff Chad Chronister. Chad Chronister, who offered comments that represented an abrupt, well, let me back up, that represented an, quote, abrupt break from what had been a cordial public relationship between the sheriff and the state attorney. Though they're from different political parties, Warren endorsed Chronister in his campaign for sheriff. And Chronister trumpeted that endorsement as an example of his bipartisanship in Hillsborough County, end of quote. This quote was printed in the Tampa Bay Times on August 5th, 2022. This is probably why Chronister appeared nervous while reading his speech criticizing D.A. Warren, because he knew what he was reading was full of bullshit. The Tampa Bay Times published an editorial entitled, "DeSantis, You're Not King of Florida." The very first sentence reads as follows, quote, Governor Ron DeSantis' suspension Thursday of Hillsborough State Attorney Andrew Warren was craven, was legally suspect, suspiciously timed, and odorously soaked in autocracy, partisanship, and in other words, completely in keeping with this governor's behaviors, end of quote. Effectively, DeSantis has canceled the votes of hundreds of thousands of citizens in Hillsborough County. These voters are not going to forget what happened to the man they wanted as their district attorney. They didn't vote for some right-wing hack selected by DeSantis. DeSantis is a madman who appears obsessed with the thought that he might become president. He constantly caters to his band of extremists in his dictator-type behaviors. He is enabled by Republican legislators who, as a group, represent a clear and present danger for our state. They are rubber stampers on steroids. During the press conference, DeSantis confidently mentioned that the legislators had the right to override his vetoes, but he doubted they ever would. Literally, there is no check and balance in play right now. Therein lies the danger. DeSantis will find that his brand of extremism puts him in the minority of our state's population. He will soon be called Florida's ex-governor. Oh, happy day. All right, at this time, I'm going to invite my two co-hosts to join me in a discussion about the article that I just read about the ridiculousness of that removal of the Hillsborough County DA. Jamie, what you got?
That was probably already planned to have him removed, to have someone else with like-minded. So I feel that was already in the plan. The guy, as you say, didn't vote on any abortion cases or gender assignment, reassignment cases. So it's a witch hunt. They wanted him out. And another reason is he was probably more fair on black and brown, and that's another reason. You know, they want him to just be crazy like DeSantis. DeSantis is he runs the little Trump type of thought. He wants everybody to bow down and do what he says do, basically a dictatorship. And that's what he wants. And this guy is an outlier, somebody that's not a part of his little group, so he had to get rid of him.
Good points, Russ.
Yeah. You know, when you look at it, what's the difference between Jay and this flying or getting rid of, what's the name, Warren?
Andrew Warren.
What's the difference?
Mhm.
There's no difference here.
Right.
Go back to what Jamie said. This guy he wants to be a king.
Mhm.
He's showing you this. But the thing that you hate most of all, that people believe in this guy. You know what I'm saying, Jamie? How do you?
Russ, I'm glad you made that statement because I was so upset with this clown out of Polk County
Yes.
who's also always jumping in front of the microphone.
Yeah.
Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd.
Great judge.
He had his presentation and he had his cue cards as he always has.
Yeah.
And he had the nerves to say, DeSantis is the best governor in the whole country. He said DeSantis is the best governor in the whole country.
Whole country, huh?
Stupid as stupid gets. But then there were a couple of others that had the nerve to say that same thing.
Truly.
That same thing. But you're right. People go along with that stupidity.
Yeah.
But you have to take note of who the people are.
Yeah.
You can just look at the ones that were standing behind DeSantis
Oh, yeah.
at that press conference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only one that was missing that I didn't see was our sheriff,
Bob.
Bob Gautieri.
Yeah.
I didn't see him because he's in that crew. He's in that crew. Nothing but right-wing extremist law enforcement officers.
Yeah.
But I was glad to see that the mayor of Tampa,
Yeah.
former police chief in Tampa, who worked alongside Andrew Warren for years, I was glad to see that she came to the support of Warren. What did she say in that quote?
think Russell
Let me
had
see.
that quote.
Got it.
Yeah, she had the statement, Tampa Mayor Jane Castor, removing a duly elected official should be based on egregious actions,
Right.
not political statements.
Right.
In a free state, voters should choose their officials in a free state. So I certainly appreciated what she had to say.
You know, Ray, look at it. You got this in your article right there. DeSantis stated his reason for the suspension in the following. If you just read that again.
Okay, I'll read it again.
Yeah, read that again.
Okay. DeSantis stated his reasons for the suspension in the following manner.
Uh-huh.
Quote, when you flagrantly violate your oath of office,
Right,
when you make yourself above the law,
right.
you have violated your duty. You have neglected your duty. And you have demonstrated a lack of competence to be able to perform your duties.
January the 6th.
Right. And he just, DeSantis, in that statement, he just described himself.
That's right.
That's
He
right.
just
That's
described
what he
himself.
did.
And that's the whole thing. That's why it's comical.
That's why when Ray
Yeah.
put that in there, I looked at that. There's the whole thing right there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Talking about yourself, bro.
and the fact that he constantly talks about freedom, 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 parental freedom, individual citizens' freedoms. But he denies people that don't think like him their freedoms.
Right.
That's right.
Right.
Corporations that don't think like him their freedoms. When Disney World
Disney World.
offered comments in support of an idea that DeSantis was not in support of,
Right.
he went after them.
Right.
Stupid as stupid gets. When the Tampa Bay Rays had something to say about the gun violence in our country, and something needed to be done, he had something to say about the Rays.
Critical.
As a matter of fact,
Yeah. Critical.
there's a
You're right, Russ.
there's a project up in Pasco County,
Okay.
$35 million project where they were going to build a training facility where the Rays were going to do training up in Pasco County. And they were going to use that facility for youth activities. Very much desired facility.
Right.
DeSantis said nothing in opposition about that particular facility. But when the Rays had something to say that he didn't like, he vetoed that facility.
That's how he does.
Stupid as stupid gets.
Well, look at it this way too. You remember they have the thing of the watch stick over in Tampa?
Mm-hmm.
There's no comments from him about that. You remember that?
Because he's all for it.
He never made any comment on that. Never.
Mhm.
But go back to what Ray said about it. It's all here.
It's-
And nothing else I can say. You know, I noticed this. Look at this thing say, I. It's dictatorship. Man.
Dictatorship.
Yeah.
But we need to do whatever we
Yes,
can do.
Yes, yes.
We need to do whatever we can do
Oh,
to ensure that this man is not governor again.
Right.
We need to call our friends, our family members, our neighbors,
Yes.
our associates, wherever they are, and ensure that they get their ballots to the polls, that they mark their ballots accordingly in terms of who's in our corner and who's not in our corner.
And we need our local officials that are already in office to speak out more, be more amplified about the situation.
Yeah, I
Talk
meant-
about it, you know.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I mentioned to Jamie that I was at a function yesterday, and it was a rally for Congressman to be. I say to be because I'm putting it in God's hands, and I believe that it's going to happen, that Eric Lynn is going to replace Charlie Crist
Okay.
as congressman from our area.
Okay.
But anyway, at the rally was Charlie Crist, former Mayor Kreisman, present Mayor,
Well,
oh my God, how did I
Welch.
forget that one? Welch, Ken Welch. You also had on stage Pastor Clarence Williams, and you had 3 females who have formed an organization, 3 white females. They formed an organization, young white females at that, as a result of Roe versus Wade.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
They're very effective.
yeah.
They're speaking out. They're getting others to join their efforts. Because this nonsense coming from the right, this extreme nonsense coming from the right, we can't let it stand. We have to speak out. We have to fight back. But as far as Warren is concerned, he indicated that he is going to fight back. He's not going to take this suspension line down.
Right.
And he's elected by the people.
Elected by the people.
And that's the
Not
point.
just once, twice.
Right.
Twice elected by the people.
Yeah.
And all it takes is for a maniac governor to come in and say you're suspended.
And that should not be allowed. Now, he's supposed to be fighting back with something called a writ quo warranto, that he's going to get an independent judge involved. I read that earlier before coming here. So he plans to fight back. This is, yeah,
Warren.
that's it. It's
Yeah,
called writ
Warren.
quo warranto, or something like that.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the legal term there,
Yeah.
but all I know is I heard him say that he's not going to take it lying down. He's going to fight back. About an hour or 2 after DeSantis made his statement at the press conference, he held his own statement and press conference by saying that he's the only person who's really fighting for the rights of the people. He's going to stand up for the rights of the people who voted him to do that job.
Right.
Yeah.
And I applaud him. That's why we need this guy in office. But Congresswoman Kathy Castor made a statement similar to some of the things that I said in my article. But Congresswoman Kathy Castor made a statement that said, quote, "The governor's actions constitute an extreme abuse of power, a new low for DeSantis, who fails our great state with his mean-spirited, selfish, and fiscally irresponsible focus on his political ambitions alone." That's a mouthful.
It is.
Mean-spirited, selfish, fiscally irresponsible focus on his political ambitions alone. Charlie Crist stated quote, this is a guy who went to Harvard and Yale, and he doesn't understand how to read the Constitution. Go Charlie Crist, like that. So it's good to see these people speaking out, and they're speaking out strongly in opposition to this irresponsible, abusive behavior on the part of Governor DeSantis.
You know what, Ray, when I just read what you got here, it's amazing. And I like what you have when you say, bully wannabe.
Mm-hmm. He wants to be baby Trump.
That's what he wants to do.
Where are our religious leaders in this, as far as, I know you mentioned there was a bishop or somebody there at one of the meetings, but I mean, where are they? Where are they as far as in support of this guy? This is obviously, you know, Warren needs more support.
Well, as far as the right-wing Christian nationalists,
Me now.
Okay. Okay.
Those guys.
I'm starting to hear that.
but in terms of bishops who are not right-wing extremists or religious figures who are not right-wing extremists, no, they haven't spoken out.
You know what? And it's almost like the religious leaders are scared to speak on Roe versus Wade. But they want to get building contracts, development contracts. They'll speak out on that. That's money. I'm talking about stuff that's important like this. So they want to jump in when you got a chance to make some money. That's what I don't like.
Yes.
What are you doing for the community? What are you doing for situations, political situations that involve the flock? Okay? That involve the flock. Where are you then?
Good points.
You know, they want to double dutch when it comes to,
Good points.
speak up. I mean, they have power. They know other politicians. Where are they?
Good point, Jimmy.
Well, that's the question.
Yeah, that's
Where
a
are
good
they?
point.
That's the question. Well, I tell you,
That's a
we
good question.
we have a governor that we've spoken about many times.
Yeah.
We have spoken about him many times. We've talked about this governor in terms of CRT.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, we've talked about him in terms of education issues. We're talking about him now in terms of suspending this gentleman unfairly, abusively, et cetera, but it's every day that he presents something that we can talk about.
Yeah, he's going to be a running topic.
But DeSantis doesn't care about us talking about
He
it.
doesn't.
Oh, no.
As a matter of fact, he doesn't care about the ladies on The View talking about it. They invited him to come on The View. Are you all aware of that? You aware of
I
that?
didn't know they invited
They
him.
invited him, but he rejected that invitation,
Mm.
saying that he didn't feel like they are ready to have a balanced discussion, something of that
Yeah.
nature. They don't have the ability to discuss all the good things that he's doing for Floridians. Oh, Lord. Funny. All the good things he's doing for Floridians. The people on The View, or the commentators on The View, the hosts, whatever you want to call them, they called him all kinds of names. They called him a sociopath.
He is.
They called him a maniac. They said he's homicidal. They called him every kind of name. And I think because they're not speaking well of him, he doesn't
That's
want to
right,
come on
right.
the show. But after he suspended Andrew Warren, later on that evening, guess where he was? Tucker Carlson
Oh,
show.
of course. Oh, of course.
Tucker Carlson.
Little Hitler himself.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. You know what? I started coming up with Nazism. I really did. Because if you look at what DeSantis is doing to the school system, taking books out, that's what the Germans
Yeah. He's following the playbook for Hitler. He's following the playbook. He's removing, he wants to remove the history, any bad thing.
Yeah.
Oh, you're hurting their feelings. We got hurt. We the one got whipped and beat and killed and raped and all that other stuff. How the hell?
Ray, one of the books they wanted to take out, because I read it a long time, and you probably didn't, Jamie, was To Kill a Mockingbird.
Edgar Allan Poe?
That's the one that Gregory Peck played in the movie.
Mhm.
That's the book that he really want to take out the system to kill a mockingbird. And there are people, black and white, don't like that idea because it's not a bad thought.
See, DeSantis is constantly appealing to his base,
That's right.
to Donald Trump's
Donald
base.
Trump base.
Their bases are one and the same.
That's right.
So he doesn't care about us on this show talking about him.
Never
He
will.
doesn't care.
Never will.
But at the same time, there are people out there who are listening to us who do care. They do want to hear what's going on. And I really appreciate the fact that we can bring it to them.
Right.
As stated earlier, on this show,
That's right.
on this podcast, the Ray Tampa podcast,
Yeah.
political correctness is out the door.
Sure.
We will tell it like it is. And telling it like it is, we have a governor from hell.
That's right.
We have a governor that is full of bullshit. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we certainly want to thank you all for tuning in and listening to us and taking note of the things that we've had to say here about our ridiculous governor. And I want to say thanks to my two co-hosts, Russell Cato, Jamie Wilson III, and invite you all, the listeners, to take note of the Ray Tampa podcast on YouTube.
Yeah.
YouTube, each and every week. And we're going to lay it down. We're going to tell you all what's really going on. So at this time, we're going to sign off. And once again, thanks to all of you.